Okay, I realize now that in my last video I said I would make one video to talk about my first trimester, but there's just so much to tell that I don't think I would fit it into a 10-minute time period, so I left off where I was going to start talking about my morning sickness. Morning sickness for me kicked in about 7.5 weeks, and I had been volunteering at the hospital for about 2 months, and I was volunteering in the NICU and pediatrics ward, and so I mainly worked a lot in step down, and that's where they send the babies that are no longer in mortal danger but still need to gain weight and learn how to bottle feed before being sent home. So I would go in and feed the babies and rock the babies and change the babies, and just basically you nurture them. And so I was on my way to volunteer, and it's like a 2-minute drive from the house, and I had chugged down a huge glass of cran raspberry before I left, which is my favorite juice. And I got to the hospital, and I'm walking through the parking garage, and I get to the elevator, and I'm standing waiting for the elevator to come, and there's this woman standing next to me, and I just suddenly I feel so sick, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and I'm looking around trying to find a trash can, and I see a trash can, and I'm like, ugh, because it's one of those trash cans that has a little flappy thing in the front, so you basically have to like push the flap open to get your trash in it, and I was like, screw it, because I didn't want to throw up on the parking garage floor because it's pretty nasty, so I ran over to the trash can, and I opened the flap, and I basically stuck my head half in there, and I just threw up a bunch of the juice, and it was just juice, and I thought, oh, okay, why the juice, though, I thought, oh, so, I felt better, I felt much better after that, and I was like, okay, alright, I can do this, and, I'm standing at the elevator, and the woman's kind of like, and I'm like, I'm fine, don't worry about it, I'm not contagious, and she's like, oh, okay, and the elevator comes, and she gets in the elevator, and she's kind of looking at me like, still, and I realized I probably shouldn't take the elevator, because what if I throw up and I'm in the elevator? I was just like, go ahead, and she's like, okay, and she's pushing the little button, like, okay, and I'm like, okay, and I take the steps down through the open lobby area. They have a lobby area where people get picked up, one of those circular driveways where people can drive through and pick up their loved ones. So I'm walking, and I'm heading for the lobby, and I'm halfway, literally halfway between the parking garage entrance and the lobby entrance, and it comes over me again, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and I look behind me, and I see the trash can, and it looks too far away, and I look in front of me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's too far away, and then I guess I hesitated too long, and I just started throwing up juice right there, and it was all juice, and it wasn't anything, like chunky or nasty, it was just juice, and here I am, and I'm kind of doubled over, and I stand up again, and I'm like, and it was a clean throw up, like didn't go everywhere. It was just kind of like, in that one spot by the curb, and this little old couple was getting in the car, and they were both standing there looking at me like, and I told them, don't worry, I'm not contagious, I'm just pregnant, and the little old lady's like, oh, okay, and she kind of gives me this pity look of like, I understand, and the guy's like, get in the car, Edna, like, get in the car, so she gets in the car, and he gets in the car, and they leave, and I'm looking around, and I tell the people, in front, like, I just got sick, I don't know if normally people hose that down or whatever, and so, they're like, okay, and I went to the restroom, and I washed my face, and I was feeling, again, much better, so I thought, okay, I can do this, I just love, because I'm not contagious, right, and I love working with the kids, so I washed my hands and, made sure that I was sanitary, and changed into my outfit, and then I got upstairs, and there's twins there that day, and they were both, normally I love the smell of babies. They're so sweet smelling, and, they're just so little and adorable, and there was twins in there that day, and they were both having extreme intestinal problems. So they were very gassy, and I was in one rocking chair rocking and feeding one of them, and my friend, she was a nurse there, she was sitting in the other rocking chair feeding and rocking them. And after rocking for maybe about 10 minutes, I realized I was getting nauseated and a headache, and I told her, yeah, I'm really gonna have to leave. And she was 5 months pregnant at the time already, and she said, I understand, and it's okay, don't worry about it. So I left, and that's when it started. From that night on, I threw up at least 3 times a day, and it got worse and worse gradually. But basically, if I wasn't laying down flat like this, then I would get sick. Like, even laying down flat like that, I'd get sick. And so anytime I would sit up, I'd throw up. Anytime I would stand up to do something, I'd throw up. Anytime, basically, if Chris came by and he said, hey honey, and he just like put his hand on my shoulder, I'd throw up. You know, any kind of contact of any sorts would make me very sick. And once it started, in about 3 weeks, I lost 15 pounds, and I was in the emergency room 3 times for extreme dehydration, because I would try to drink water, and I would try to, you know, have soup or something to keep myself hydrated enough, but everything was making me sick. And I know they talk a lot about cravings during pregnancy, and it's too early then for cravings, I think, but I can tell you I had food aversions out the wazoo because I couldn't stand anything. I couldn't stand anything. And then they got me in the hospital. I had gone from weighing 121 to weighing 106. So I was losing weight so fast, and they were very worried. And so I got admitted, and my hemoglobins were off, and I was anemic and everything else, all because of the extreme morning sickness. And then I was in the hospital for about a week, and they tried to fatten me up some, and I think I gained maybe 2 pounds while I was there, but it really wasn't a lot. Most of it was IV fluid, because I had been on an IV all week, and then they weighed me, and I weighed a lot, but it was all water weight. So they sent me home, and I came home, and they also sent me home with the strongest anti-nausea medication that is out on the market. It's normally what they give chemo patients, is what my doctor told me. So I was taking those. I was taking one of those pills about 4 times a day, whenever I was okay to take it, you know, within the time period and stuff. So the only thing that I could really eat, I didn't like anything salty. I wanted donuts, but didn't have the easiest time keeping them down. Pop-Tarts, no. I mean, I still got sick. I still threw up even being on the medication, and even after leaving the hospital. So so much would make me so sick. So basically, I had a lot of chicken noodle soup, I had a lot of chicken broth, and a lot of chicken ramen noodles. And those all worked just fine, you know, and that was okay for then. And then, thank goodness, my first trimester was finally over, and I started really wanting food again, but I wanted a lot of fruit, like fresh fruits and canned fruits. It didn't matter. I just wanted fruit, 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 fruit. And so I was having a lot of fruits, and then the sickness had passed, and I started gaining weight again, which was so good. I was so, so happy that had passed. The only thing now that I can't really eat, for some reason, cucumbers don't work for me. Also, raw onions doesn't work for me. But I heard that it's like that for a lot of women, the onions thing at least. So, and then also, I can't have anything chicken, because chicken, even if I want the chicken, it doesn't matter. It's like I get really sick even if I want the chicken and I eat it. Like, we had Chick-fil-A when I was with my parents visiting in North Carolina. I wanted Chick-fil-A so bad, and so we had Chick-fil-A, and I had chicken nuggets, and it was so good, and half an hour later, there I am, laying on my bed, just miserable as can be. I'm just like, oh, no, no. And then the next morning when I woke up, I still felt the chicken, and it was just, whew, it was rough. So no chicken. And it's pretty fun. It's very fun.